All right, y'all, welcome back to SPG Unfiltered, the place where high performers come to get real about what it takes to rebuild from the ground up. I am your host, Steven Gerraughty, Marine Corps veteran and founder of SPG Fitness. And today I've got someone sitting across from me virtually, who is a huge part of the reason that I do what I do. I don't even think I could give a proper introduction to this man with his list of accolades, to be honest. So, Justin, I am going to let you introduce yourself for the people that don't know you.
Hey, Steven, it's amazing being here. I appreciate those kind words, man. We definitely go way back. And having you part of the Elite Coaching Academy is absolutely spectacular. I know a lot of our mentees are going to listen, so shout out ECA, hashtag ECA knows. Let's get it. I'm really fired up to chat and hope to bring a little bit of value. Look, I even brought my forehead vein. I brought my forehead vein for you this morning. So yeah, we are
That's how you
locked
know
in.
it's good. He's
That's how you
ready to
know it's
rock.
good.
That's how you know.
Uh,
But all right, Justin, let's get into a little bit of our personal history and relationship. I believe we connected, or at least I found you on Twitter back in the day, when you were still doing those long threads, arguing with people about everything under the sun. So this was
Hormonal
well
birth
before
control, reverse
that. I think
dieting.
that was the big one at the time was the
Yeah,
hormonal birth control in
crazy
women.
how I
And
ended up being right. 8
well,
years
now
later, I'm waiting on them to apologize.
and now they're talking about doing hormonal birth control in men, which is
That's insane.
insanity. But
Yeah.
um, you know, I think what really drew me to you because you were my first bodybuilding coach. You realistically like were the person who really instilled not only that intensity mindset that you were known for, you were the intensity guy, right? That was how you were known. Uh, so that was a big part of how I conducted my training, and also, as you're also known, not to glaze you too early on in this podcast, but along with the podcast and everything, that's just who you are. You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely what drew me to you. And then I needed that strict, no bullshit, no sugarcoating uh, type of coaching. So what was it for you that really triggered that? Because there's still people nowadays that don't give that to people. They don't give them the truth realistically.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, I think with something that's ever changing, and it's interesting to talk about America when ECA is so global, and now Eminent Nutrition's gone global. It's interesting
I
to
just saw that gone to
my
India.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My perspective is currently expanding quite a bit as we're having these conversations with, you high value individuals around the world. Um, America goes through these ebbs and flows of our politico socio environment. And, when you would have found me, we were very much so in an ebb of holy fuck, you guys are pathetic.
That was
Like,
2017, I
yeah, y'all are
believe.
fucking pathetic. You guys are just being coddled, told that you're good enough, told that it's okay. I mean, that was the peak of participation trophy and handouts. And you know what? God damn it, life doesn't fucking work that way. And I'm from blue collar Ohio. 2008, I remember I was in high school and all of a sudden, my family's they all work in manufacturing, and all of a sudden they're on strike and they're not getting paid and there's nothing coming in, and we had to fucking figure it out and grind it. And every like now we're in this society of you're okay to be whatever the hell it is you want to be. If you want to call yourself a fucking unicorn but you didn't do anything to earn being a unicorn, then you're just allowed to be it. And I mean, bodybuilding trophies started awarding like seventh and eighth place back then. Get the fuck out of here. Like, there's no
If you're not
reward.
if you're not top three, nobody cares.
There's no reward for getting seventh and eighth place. It's okay to tell people they're not good enough. One thing I've learned about, maybe one of the biggest things I've learned about growing successful companies is whenever they zig you zag, and if they zag you zig, and it's pretty usually the best route to go is against what the socio norms are. And I became highly intense because I knew that was my way to win. It didn't have a lot given to me. I didn't have a lot of opportunity. I just know I had to win. And through bodybuilding, it taught me intensity. I mean, true fucking intensity. And
So I know you have a sports background as well from
yeah,
even before bodybuilding, but do you think it was the bodybuilding, the upbringing, or when you started coaching other people that really triggered that for you, where you were like, these people need like a kick in the ass? You know what I mean?
yeah, good
So which
question.
which part do you think really did it for you?
A conglomerate. You know, early on, I was 17. I was getting recruited for collegiate track at the Division 1 level, and it is fucking cutthroat. It was just cutthroat. You'll go on recruiting visits, and you're 17, and you think you're a god because you just torch everyone in a high school race, and you sit down, and you're told like, dude, you're not good enough to have X, Y, or Z here, but we'd like to bring you in here, but you're going to be our sixth fastest guy we bring in. I'm like, sixth fastest guy you bring in, and you're actually going to have the slowest times on the entire team coming in. Like, whoa, like right. I mean, I feel like it's
Because you're
17.
at the top of the bottom.
Yeah, I was at the top of the fucking bottom. That's a great way to put it, Steven. And I grinded my ass off. I became somebody who traveled, got a varsity letter for University of Cincinnati within 2 years, and I was proud of that. But man, I just loved weightlifting, man. I just love training. Like I love pushing my body, getting after it. Like that's my favorite thing to do. So
Well, and I remember I used to check in with you and be
yeah,
like, there are days because you were asking me how my progression was going in the gym, and I was like, there's a few days like I'm not making it to the end of the workout, and
yeah,
not from like an oh I'm tapping out, but from like a point of like I literally cannot continue contracting my muscles the way that I need to perform. And
yeah,
you're like, no, that's a good thing though. And I'm like, but
yeah.
I'm missing these exercises. And you're like, no, doesn't matter. You're
Doesn't
good.
matter. Yeah,
Which
I
especially
forgot
at the
about that.
time, like
That
my
used to
age,
be one of my things.
I was only like 21.
Yeah,
So you were like, no, where we were pushing. I had like 600 carbs.
yeah,
Uh, it was great, but
yeah. I forgot that used to be my thing. How few sets can you get through before you don't contract the muscle or you just can't continue? And
yeah,
man,
man,
you know
that's a
what? Like we live in this day and age of seeing these tiny little dudes with no muscle on their frame talking about this science-based lifting and these arch fucking curvatures and reverse banding their dick on the Smith machine. And it's like, dude, you guys are so pathetic. Go in, give yourself 5 sets, and don't let yourself be able to stand up after 5 sets. And now
yep.
you're actually going to build some muscle. Man,
And
I
it's funny
forgot about
because
that. I should bring that
it's
back.
it's a comp, but because it's still a combination of that, and then also they think that because they can move a load, that
Yeah.
they're you know building the muscle, which isn't always the case. You're not necessarily in a state of hypertrophy just because you moved something. And
Yeah.
I get that all the time. The owners of the gym and stuff, the other gym goers that go to the same gym I do are like, dude, I don't ever really see you moving like a lot of weight for your size. What's going on? Like, and I'm just like, well, because I'm a bodybuilder, I'm not a
Yeah.
weightlifter.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to build my body. I'm not here to lift weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is a difference. I don't just go to the gym. I'm here to train.
I like
Um,
I I like that thought. I do think there's part of obviously I was a super heavyweight bodybuilder. I think if you want to be worth a shit as a super heavyweight bodybuilder, you've got to be able to bench 400 for quite a few reps, squat 500 with your hams touching your calves for quite a few reps. You got to be able to pull 600 from the floor. As a
but the,
super
the the key the
heavyweight
key
guy, you
there though
have
is
to get
still a
there.
lot of reps. Is
And
still
it's a lot
being
of reps.
able to do it. Like we're not
Yeah.
power lifters.
No.
Like we're not Olympic lifters. We're not doing all that stuff.
Yep.
So even though you are moving 405, like you said, you're doing it for 10,
Yep.
12, 15. Like if you're only doing it for three,
Not getting much out of it.
yeah, and you're not doing that very often. You might just do that to gauge your strength.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really all that's good for.
Yeah,
is finding out like, oh, have I truly been operating in the percentile that I should be?
yeah.
Um,
I think under 5 rep sets do absolutely nothing for bodybuilders. Absolutely nothing. I think
I
that
think there's a
you should go
place
with
for
it.
beginners because I think a lot of people underestimate their strength.
Yeah.
And so I think doing a 2 or 3 rep max is a safe place for a lot of average gym goers to gauge their strength. Um, and then you can kind of use that number to be like, all right, well, if you can do this for 3 reps or 2 or 3 reps, then you should be able to do this for 15 and not only 10.
Yeah, I do like
Um,
that. That's a really good point. Yeah, understanding like your true strength output. Um, you know, I
And I think that has a lot to do with clientele because obviously you operate with a much higher level of you operate with people who should be able to gauge their strength.
yeah,
Like
you're
that's
right.
that if you have to help like your clients figure out how strong they are, they probably shouldn't be your clients.
Yeah, you know what? It's
Um,
even actually we don't even program training anymore.
right. It's all just
Um,
the lifestyle
yeah, dude.
supplements like
Like if you're hiring me right now, like you don't need me to tell you how to train. You get it. You understand.
right.
And
So
also,
with most coaches though, they're operating with lifestyle clients, your
they are.
normal average Joes, maybe high performers, but still not elite level bodybuilders
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as what they need.
A high performance crew is an interesting crew, like talking about people who perform exceptionally high in their professional lives. You know, if they don't have somebody governing what their output is, they're going to do the same thing in the gym that they do in their professional lives. And, I'm sure you see me talk about I work out for 26 minutes a day. And when that 26-minute buzzer goes off, it's time to go home. Or else I don't want to be there an hour and a half. It's just, I don't want to be there an hour and a half. I don't have the discipline to be there an hour and a half anymore. My brain will could manipulate myself into believing that I'm trashed if I'm not there for an hour and a half. So I'll be there for an hour and a half. And a lot of high performers go through that. So they have to have somebody governing there. And, I mean, even Regan King, who won NBC Nationals last year, we're going to win a pro show next year, go to the Olympia and open bodybuilding. Even he, right now, he's an insanely high performer. Owns a gigantic concrete company out in Omaha. I'm so fucking proud of that dude. He's one of my closest friends, also. Um, 3 days a week, 40 minutes a session. That's a professional bodybuilder who is going to go to the Olympia next year, and that's all he's doing. So, people listening to this, use that and assess your output because you're probably not training hard enough if you're training that long.
Well, and that's I mean, to speak on just having someone kind of keep you in check. I mean, that's what brought me to Caden
Yep.
is because I was
I love Kate.
206 I was 260 pounds on my own, no enhancements or anything. I got up to 260. I was a
Yeah.
bowling ball of a
Yeah,
motherfucker,
dude.
man.
Yeah, you
Uh,
were.
and I didn't think I was fat until I saw a fucking picture of me from the holidays in like normal people clothes, and I was like,
Oh,
nobody told
fuck.
me. Nobody told me I looked like that.
Did Caden tell you
So
that you got fat when you came to Caden? Was he there? You're fat.
no, because I had already cut down 40 pounds by the time
Wow.
I came to Caden. But the issue was that I was doing exactly that. I was training 6 days a week. I was going for an hour and a half. I was forcing myself to take that one rest day. I was eating like shit, realistically, like because I was hitting my macros, sure, but I was having protein pasta and protein granola and like I was doing the Kodiak cake body instead of the fucking chicken and rice body, like you used
Yep.
to say, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then the
I did
stress
used to say
mitigation.
that, huh?
Yep. I still listen to the podcast.
That's
I'm listening
so funny.
from the beginning. I'm listening to it.
That's
Um,
so funny.
so let's transition to that a little bit. What was the birth of Grow or Die? I know it's not Grow or Die anymore. Um, but what was the birth of that, and why does that resonate so heavily with so many people?
Yeah. Um, the one day in the gym, there's a content piece back at Gym One when I first moved to Austin. There's a content piece where I talk about if you can't make it through the jungle, you don't deserve to be on the beach. Like this entire life is grow or die. everything you're doing, you're growing, you're dying and falling behind, and went crazy viral. So I started the Grow or Die podcast. That name did get ripped off by a famous comedian. We found out thereafter, and it's funny. My podcast was actually bigger than his anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much.
I didn't even hear about that. So if that
Yeah,
tells you anything.
yeah, exactly. Um, and so the Grow Time podcast was simply that. Like, that's the way of life. I mean, I've built companies that sold that had the elite name in them. Elite Detail Pros down here in Austin, a mobile car detailing company. I built that from the ground up, sold it because our work was elite. The Elite Coaching Academy. Our work is elite. No other academy covering online fitness coaching is even close to what we're doing. And if they tried, they would just get buried in our sauce. It's elite. Eminent. Eminent means achieving your best self. Grow or die. That means getting better every day. Move forward. Like, where it came from is I just fucking lived that life, dude. And a lot of people don't like me because I lived that life. And a lot of people don't like people that do things that are spectacular. And, a lot of people don't love extraordinary, but ordinary is mediocrity. Extraordinary is achieving things that they're not able to comprehend. So this is the eminent lifestyle. It's the elite lifestyle, like grow or die lifestyle. Unfortunately, because YouTube plays too much into a political sphere that we now know is completely fraudulent surrounding COVID. They kicked my podcast off air. I can't use the Grow or Die name anymore, or else we just get booted. So now it's the Elite Coaching Cast, and now I'm actually going even harder at COVID when I talk about it on the show. And there's nothing they can do about it because legally we are now protected
Well, that's
to simply
we'll
share the
talk a
truth.
little offline about that, but I'm actually working with my mom right now to get her to send me her blood work result, like
Yeah.
everything, because she has cognitive shit going on for the last couple years since something, since getting stabbed, and now they're telling for a while they were dismissing her, saying it was nothing. Keep in mind, this woman has worked in healthcare since before I was alive,
Well,
and still does. And they're telling her that she's imagining it. They're telling her it's psychological, and then now they're telling her that it's long COVID. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is long COVID?
yeah.
I'm like, you guys are so full of shit. It's not even funny.
Get an
Um,
HTMA test and we'll be able to fix that right up. We actually just uploaded that HTMA testing. I do a full breakdown, like a 20-minute breakdown of an HTMA test, and then I have a whole PDF file NEC that we where we break that down yesterday, and it's going to show insanely high levels of aluminum and some other things in there as well. Uh, and once you alleviate that,
I'll gladly use her as a training
yeah,
opportunity for everyone to kind of see what that looks like. 'Cause I'm sure
once you get rid of
she's
that stuff, it's
spiking.
amazing how all of a sudden, oh, you didn't have long COVID. No, you were COVID injured, and that can be fixed.
Yeah.
So,
But
um,
I think that's a huge thing, and I especially now as being a part of ECA, it is nice to be able to kind of market myself as someone who can address those issues.
yeah,
Um, be like, and even if it is a conversational piece with someone, and it's like, hey, listen, I have not personally addressed this issue myself. However, being a part of ECA, I do have access to an elite team of fucking scientists.
yeah.
Because realistically, like I tell people all the time, I feel like the dumbest individual in that group every time there's a conversation rolling. However, every other ECA mentee that I have talked to has said the
Feels the
exact
same
same
way.
thing.
That's how you know you're in the right room.
So exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just wait.
And so
We're
I
hiring
love
some more
that.
people today to make everyone, including myself, feel even dumber. So,
Dude, if you made me, I can't blame you. But if you made me spend more money before you did something, because I did that already. I was like, I need
yep,
systems and bought systems, and then it
yep,
came to ECA, and you're like, guess what we
yep,
have now?
yep,
Systems. I was like,
yep. Here's systems.
but
Yeah, yeah.
so was was the grow or die? Do you think a big part of the rise of unfiltered coaching in the culture? I would say yes, from my perspective. Um,
It's hard to say
but
no. We were the
it
number two ranked fitness podcast
right.
in America, the number one bodybuilding podcast by miles, and all of a sudden everyone started talking like me.
I mean, and it's people don't understand, but you really were at the forefront of, I don't even know what to call it. Like
There was a
So
change that
there's so
happened
many
after Grow or Die,
facets.
huh?
There was.
It
And
was
I
an
think I
interesting
think
thing.
I'm noticing it more now as I'm restarting the podcast and listening to certain things, certain topics, and like aligning it with timelines of things that happened, and now having that recall of being able to be like, oh, that was about that
Yep.
time that
Yep.
these things started happening. So you can definitely connect the dots when you start looking back a little deeper.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate that. I'm very grateful for the platform that it gave, but the elite coaching cast is definitely going to be a completely different level. So I'm very
it's a
excited for that.
monster. It's a
Yeah,
monster. And
yeah,
so I mean, I'm super grateful that I got in when I did. I was holding myself back from it for so long, because it is an investment. And I was like, oh, I don't have this. I don't have the money. I'll save up the money first and then I'll do it. And I quickly broke that mindset doing what it is that we do or what it is that you are teaching people to do, as far as running their own business and being their own person. Um, because I started actually coaching with Caden with the last $500 in credit that I had to
wow,
my name. So I had $500 in credit
yep,
left. And I used
yep.
that to start with Caden. I started listening to the podcast and I completely changed who I was as an individual and the way my brain works and operates. And that is something that I did through, uh, I credit myself obviously quite greatly with that, but also through, the podcast and through the communities that, we're a part of, because we are a part of communities that people only dream about or only see behind a screen.
Dude, isn't
Um,
that wild? Isn't that cool that like that's what it's turned into here?
Well, and not to
It's
like say
insane.
anything, but I went from spending the last $500 on a bodybuilding coach to like 2, 3 months later, I just spent $30,000 on this business to get it rocking and rolling. Like,
Yep,
and
yep.
I'm not even batting an eyelash at that. I was afraid to spend $500, and now
Never.
it's crazy the way that the mindset shift uh,
It's
occurs.
Wilson's law. You know, Wilson's law. If you invest significantly into your education and you increase your value, then you are going to see that come back. People don't understand the energetic alignment that you get when you level yourself up and go to a mode of investment, of value rising. Of the, our worth in the world is based solely off of our value to the world. So you look at the wealthiest people in the world. Do I like these guys? No. I actually am a fan of Elon Musk, and I like about 10% of the stuff he does. Both of these things can be true. Um, who in the world is more valuable than he is in terms of innovation? Can we argue about some of the innovations? Absolutely, we can. I think the Rocket Man thing is super weird. He's trying to get rid of all the Ubers in Austin. I think that is just so outrageous. It's funny as hell. Steven being in Austin right now, watching the self-driving cars be manipulated by traffic because if you just drive in front of it, it stops and these people are just in the car and everyone's cutting them off and it's like that's
Well,
going to
and
happen.
I know the Teslas do that themselves. They have the like auto braking feature. So if you
Yeah,
cut off a Tesla, they will brake.
it just
Like,
stopped.
yeah.
And you know we have the Waymos and we have the Toyota one down here and they all just get manipulated all day. They
And
are
which, if you
so
know
stupid.
anything about traffic patterns, you'll know that that actually causes more
It
traffic.
causes more traffic and also everyone's manipulating them and you're just watching it happen like how do you solve this issue? No one
You're
thought
just
about
watching people
this.
get puppeteered. Like,
Dude, they are. They are and but these people are like held hostage in these cars while they're just getting
now,
cut
do
off.
you? Yeah, that's crazy. Because I actually did see that TikTok recently of a girl who was going to work, but was like the thousandth customer or something like that, and it drove her like 6 hours away to Disneyland. And she was like, I'm going to work.
And
And she
she's
was,
like on the
but she
phone
was
with
in
them.
the,
Oh
yeah,
man.
she was on the phone with them, like, I'm going to work. And they were like, oh, well, it was in the terms and service. Like, you agreed to this. We can't remote shut it off. Like, the only person that can change it is like you. And she's like, I didn't ask to go to Disney. I'm going to
My
work. And she had a picture of herself at Disney. So
that is
whether or not that's entirely at, internet is internet, but
But
I'm
still,
taking it at
the
face
people
value.
creating these
Yeah,
things are having so much innovation and adding so much value that, yeah, Wilson's law proves itself in real time. Also, but then the other side of it is, if you come into a program like ECA, you better fucking invest your time and your attention, and you better get involved and be there, which you've done a fantastic job of. Get involved in the community, participate. If you feel like the dumbest person in the chat, that means you need to actually ask more questions and participate more. So I'm grateful to have that, man. We have such a cool thing going.
absolutely. Do you think that sort of how do I phrase this? As far as connecting that why soft coaching doesn't work for most people, do you think that is associated with the fact that so many people are just followers? They really do just need someone to tell them what to fucking do. Otherwise, they will not do it.
Yeah, well, nothing changes if nothing changes. And most people surround themselves with somewhat of an echo chamber, right? So if the coach becomes an echo chamber, you're just getting confirmation bias from every angle that, oh, Angela, like, it's okay to be 40 pounds overweight. It's just your age. Well, you're not 20 anymore, so it's fine to feel this way. Like, oh no, like it's fine to chill on your diet. Like, come on, like you're out with the girls. And your coach is like, oh, it's okay, like intuitive lifestyle and stuff like that. You are 40 motherfucking pounds overweight. That is 40 pounds of fat. Who knows how much visceral fat that is? And visceral fat's the fat that's forming around your organs, taking nutrients from the rest of your body because your body becomes so adept at converting things to fat when they come in. You can't intuitively your way out of being fat. You have to have a plan. You have to
Well,
have
especially when your
structure.
intuition is McDonald's and fucking ice
Dude,
cream, and like your intuition is what's got you fat. Your
it's
intuition is why you're out of shape,
unbelievable.
why you're unhealthy.
So
Like,
the soft coaching, the one thing it does is it forms these friendships. And now the coach can't scale anywhere because they spend so much time, responding to clients because their clients view them as a psychologist. And then the client gets mad that they feel like the coach isn't their friend anymore and they're trying to set a boundary. And it's like, the coach can't scale past like, 8, 10K a month. And I don't know if you saw the thing I have up on my story right now. You need to make $124,000 a year to live the way that you were able to live at $100,000 a year just like 4 years ago. Meaning, let's say you make 10K a month right now. That's basically what eight or
what,
7K a
80K?
month was
Yeah.
getting you like a year ago. Yeah, it's basically like the same quality of life as 70, 80K. It depends where you live. In Austin, yeah, it ain't getting you very far. It
Well,
depends
and
where you
trust me,
live.
I'm in upstate New York, so it's not New York City, but it's still New York State. So if you don't think I'm planning on getting my business the fuck out of here
Yeah,
as
you
soon as
better come to
possible,
Texas. We're
it's on
alleviating
the
capital
list. It's
gains.
on
We're
the
alleviating
list.
capital gains. If I know nothing about this bill that they're voting on, but if the bill passes, Texas doesn't have capital gains anymore. And I'm like, dude, as someone who's heavily involved in entrepreneurship and investing, that is, I
Well,
mean,
that's
it's gonna make
I think you just saw the message today, but I'm gonna be in Texas for a layover. I might have to
dude, you gotta
do a
check
quick
these
little
places
look
out,
around, you
dude.
know what I mean? See if it's
Like
worth going to.
Houston, Dallas,
Because
Austin, like you
I lived
can't
in
go wrong.
Arizona for like 10 years, so the Southwest
Arizona's
and the
great.
heat doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll have to
The heat
definitely
does
look
get
into that.
fucking intense though, man.
It
Oh
it
boy.
does. But 300 plus days a year is
Yep.
of sunshine is hard to fucking beat, man.
Right
So,
now it's quite literally perfect outside. I mean,
but
we're
so
we're,
do you
we're in the
think
perfect zone.
I wish, man. It's fucking all over the place here. I'm basically in Canada.
Yeah.
Um, but so do you think that kind of difference is what separates a coach from a trainer? Because I
What a
do still
question.
I still run into it a lot where people are like, "Oh, I was just looking for someone to be in the gym with me for those 45 minutes." And it's like the amount of money I have to charge you for that to be worth my time is insane, and the amount of value that you get from that is nothing. which I mean, you don't even, like you said, you don't even do uh like programming anymore as far as in the gym. So that shows how little value there really is in it.
I
And
don't think
so
there's
I
a
don't,
ton of value in it. It's not scalable. You have to show up and be your absolute best for every single client every day because they're waiting on that moment to have one-to-one time to vent to you. You carry that energy. You're going to carry that home. You're not going to be able to leave it at work. It's not super serious people. There's only so much you can realistically charge. Uh, I also will say, to answer your original question, yeah, trainer takes people through workouts and maybe gives some diet advice. A coach is a leader. A coach leads people. So that's, maybe diet's one thing, maybe training's one thing, maybe cardio is one thing, whatever. Coaches lead. And that's not to put trainers down. Dude, I started as a trainer, and honestly, being an in-person trainer running 38 sessions a week was tough, dude. It
and
was
honestly,
tough.
I think for most people, like especially if you're a student, if you're someone in college and you're looking for just breaking that barrier, just getting a foot in the door, dude, in-person training is a
Go do
great
it.
part-time gig.
You're going to be networking with
Absolutely.
rich people too.
And you're going to be just learning.
That's what
Realistically,
I
it
do.
is a great learning curve for
Yeah.
people at the bottom, at the baseline. Like you want to start, that's where you should start. I do think there's other opportunities nowadays with the internet and with, mentorships and things like that. If you do have a coach that is willing to mentor you, um, you know, but realistically, like getting a trainer only helps so much because most people are navigating their whole health. They're navigating hormones. They're navigating misinformation. The misinformation is extravagant. You know what I mean? It's insane nowadays. And because people do it for like rage baiting, click
Yeah.
baiting, and most people's knowledge is only surface level, it's headline deep. That's it.
Hmm.
So they'll read a headline and the headline has nothing to do with the article,
Yeah.
but they're going to take the headline and be like, that's what's happening. That's the real
Yeah.
world. And it's like, this is why you need someone 23 hours a day, not 45 minutes.
There was a whole
Um,
thing. Was this yesterday that I saw it? Yeah, there was a fake news thing yesterday about the state of California is going to take all your Bitcoin if you don't move it or do anything with it for 3 years. That was a headline.
I did
And
see
there was
that.
thousands and thousands and thousands of comments on it. That wasn't true. That's not what's actually happening. That's not written. All these people are just so pissed off. And I'm like, I think that that's intentionally done to see who's the sub 90 IQ people. And then you just kind of have a database of sub 90 IQers.
Well,
Um,
because I don't know if you still deal with this. I'm sure you do, depending on the people in your close circle and things like that, as far as physically. But do you still deal with like you sit down and like if you're not actively doing something, you're really reflecting on yourself. You're like, I'm really not all that special. Like I
no,
really just am someone who gets the shit done.
yeah,
Like it really is just that simple.
yeah.
And so like where
I say that all the time.
we see ourselves as like average individuals,
No,
whether it's the gym, because that's our circle. We are average in our circle for the people that we have in our lives.
yeah.
Um,
But even them,
and
like even those people, um, I'm very fortunate to have the group of friends that I have. I'm somewhere in like the middle echelon of in terms of who I hang out with. And I look at them and I'm like, dude, we're all just dumbasses who just take action and we figure out how we can
messy
win in this
progression.
world. Yeah, so we take messy action. People sit there and like make this business plan and everything has to be perfect. And like, dude, it's not real.
Yep.
That doesn't
A
exist.
big thing that I stick to is a tree falls in the way it's leaning.
Yeah, I love that.
So which way are you leaning?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If you're leaning towards something, fucking fall into it. Just fucking do it.
yeah,
There's no point in kind of doing something.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, don't just
Um,
the tip life, go all the way in.
yeah. And so as far as that relates to, coaching and your life and everything, I mean, I know we touched on people navigating their health hormones, misinformation. You yourself are, for lack of a better term, you're a crash test dummy for yourself. from a lot of the stuff that I've heard and I've seen you do. You've had, your own health scares, serious distrust in traditional care, which I am seeing come to me already. It's well known that people do not trust the healthcare system at this point, just
No one
flat out.
should. I mean, if you trust the healthcare system right now, then I've got some oceanfront property with the most gorgeous view that you've ever seen in the state of Montana.
I was gonna say,
With
is it in Ohio or?
it's 85 degrees year round. There's never a cloud in the sky, and you can buy it sight unseen. Just slide in my DMs.
Yep. No neighbors, no
No
neighbors,
neighbors,
nothing.
but
Yeah.
and you can own the grocery store and all of that. I'll sell it to you right now.
So,
Yeah.
how did your own health scares kind of help you uh maneuver your way through or out of traditional care? Because realistically, you, to an extent, were your own doctor for a while, and obviously you have connections and people that, allow you to do that. So how was that? Tell us a little bit about that, because not everybody has even considered something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I don't talk about it a ton. In 2018, I had kidney failure. It was awful. I was 3 weeks out from a show from the Mr. Ohio. Um, Went into a full body cramp while I was on the toilet super late one night. My girlfriend at the time was there. She calls the medics. They get me right away. Realize like I'm in so much agony. I could just kind of moan. They hit me with some fentanyl like right there just to get me back. They hit me. They had to hit me with fentanyl to get me simply to the ambulance. And then when we got to the hospital, another round just to get me like to be able to mate to not feel so much pain and moan while they were moving the cart is
The
the word that
stretcher.
yeah, the stretcher. Like everything hurt so bad. I was in a full body cramp. Like head to toe, like neck down to toe. It was insanity. I knew it was coming. And also, there's like an element of prep that is like, I had never been that lean. I knew that I was going to win the show. And so I was like, dude, fuck it. I'll just take care of this after. End up in the hospital. We were there for about a day, maybe a little longer than a day. I can't quite remember. The whole time, I'm just getting scolded for like doing the things that I'm doing and whatnot. They said like there's no way to reverse this renal issue that I'm having. And when they said that, it's like, brother, I'm 20, just like 25 at the time. Like, yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah, I bet I can.
The human
Um,
body is insane.
yeah, the
So
human body, if you give it what it needs, it will heal. And I don't really care. Dude, earlier this year, we fixed Hashimoto's in a 72-year-old woman. So don't give me the fucking age thing. So, uh, that really sent me down a rabbit hole, but I was already pretty pissed off because I watched what they did to my grandfather. I mean, when he died, his LDL cholesterol was like 19 in his last lab work, and he was just a vegetable in his brain at the end, and he couldn't recall anything. And he had 4 strokes in the span of a year when he was 70 years old, and I'm like, that's not normal.
yeah,
And so it's this statin, it's that statin, it's all this. I was already like, that's weird. And then I'm in there and I'm just getting gaslit, and I'm like, you guys aren't smart enough to gaslight me. Maybe you're other fucking people, but like, just because you can finish a bunch of coursework and you have the financial ability for to stay in school to earn this title, you're not manipulating me. So I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, they told me that bodybuilding has to be done forever. Well, I went on to win the Mr. Ohio exactly 12 months later. Um, and I brought myself back. Kidney's good. Really, everything's pretty perfect right now, which is insane. I'm very grateful, knock on wood. Um, but that was really the beginning of the end. Was my grandfather. I was 12 watching this happen. And I was like, you guys are sick fucks. And then it happened to me, and I was like, yeah, you guys are definitely sick fucks. And that was after I realized how disgusting SSRIs. I think doctors that prescribe those rather than some form of real holistic or integrative health in terms of functionality of the human brain and what's going wrong. Um, you know, I hope one day those doctors get punished in the manner that they should get punished. If they don't here on earth, they will in the afterlife, whatever you believe that looks like. Um,
Well,
it's
that's
it, it's
I got
control.
myself off SSRIs actually
Dude, I'm proud of you. Good for you.
because I was like that this is ruining my life. I was like, first of all, the fact that I'm sitting here and I know I have all these things to do and I can't physically move my body, and I was like, and I'm not stressed about it. I was like, that's not right. I was making myself anxious about the fact that I wasn't anxious.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and it was as someone who comes from like the Marine Corps background, and before that I did door-to-door sales, which is
Brutal.
insane. And I did it in Alabama,
Yeah.
as someone from the north.
Alabama.
Yeah, I was in Birmingham. I was down there.
Amazing.
But yeah, it is so unnecessary for the majority of people. You know, we can't put a blanket statement on anything. I never will. I do think there are situations where people should take medical intervention for things.
I agree.
But so what does that look like? Should someone trust the system versus doing it themselves?
Yeah, let's say we've gone through some proper interventions. You're not really going to find many people with neurotransmitter defuncts that are poor or in good metabolic health. Metabolic health is a driver to all of this stuff. Also, we need to look at their cholesterol levels. We need to see, are you super low cholesterol? Because the cholesterol that you ingest in food does not cross the blood-brain barrier, but the brain is going to mimic what the body does in terms of cholesterol conversion. And so maybe your brain is simply turning into some sort of gray matter, or it's not signaling itself the right way because we don't have a myelin sheath that's well protected. We don't have neurons. We don't have our control center, which is our CNS. Maybe it's not able to simply send signals or understand what signals are being sent. You look at digestive health of autistic kids, and there's always issues, and that's a mental defunct that's stemming from a physiological issue. And you look at the gut health of, you look at people that have these crazy panic episodes or depressive disorders or schizophrenia and whatnot, and there's always some sort of gut or liver. There's an intervention that's happening there. So if we go through all these steps and there's something actually wrong, um, then we very much so need some short-term intervention. I'm down with short-term intervention. There has to be a plan to come off. You need to do SSRIs for a short amount of time. I subscribe to this, but just throwing them on there and then, oh, this one doesn't work the same way anymore. Let's throw this one in there and then let's throw this one in there. That's tough. And then, if you get pregnant when these things are inside of your body, that there's
It
going
it
to be
directly affects
there's going
the
to be
pregnancy.
defunct
Like,
that goes to the child. And we talked about how cholesterol in the brain is going to mimic cholesterol in the body. I mean, what about serotonin in the gut? That does not get delivered to the brain, but the brain will match that. What about dopamine that's not targeted in the right place in our brain? That's why I think tesofensine for people who have healthful HRV is so beneficial, because tesofensine, norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin can all get modulated with the utilization of tesofensine. So we can balance these things out. We can push them into the right places in our brain. I mean, you even look at like binge eating disorders and whatnot. We're going to see low dopamine in the hypothalamus. So the
because they're
hypothalamus
getting that dopamine hit from the food, and
from the
that's why so
food,
many people lean towards the sugary foods and the processed
100%.
foods and the things with all
that
the
are that hijack our brain.
preservatives and
They literally hijack our brain, but we eat them so much that your hypothalamus is like, oh, dude, I'm good. I've got dopamine coming in from these things, so you can send it elsewhere. And then it's like, well, why can't you stop binge eating? And you go talk to a psychologist about it. Dude, this is a physiological issue in your brain. This is a mechanistic defunct. Talking to a psychologist about your binge eating is not fixing the defunct. It's just rheumatoid therapy. We sit there, we talk about it, and that works for about 14% of people. And 14% of people is not a very high number. So we need to do better, but like Steven, the reality is it's only so much on you and I and the rest of the ECA mentees. A lot of people still after everything that we know it's not conspiracy, it's not a guess, it's not a hypothesis. We know, and they still trust. So, at that point, not everyone's meant to be saved. What's that song? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Like but the reality is, um, medicine's moving towards online coaches and coaches who have expertise in biology and
Preventative medicine.
physiology, preventative medicine, and then to fix more functional medicine, because functional medicine is root cause medicine. So now, a lot of doctors who are classically trained, which, it's kind of cool. We now have 18 doctors in ECA, which is pretty sick.
That's insane.
Doctors who are classically trained, they they're trying to discredit functional medicine and practitioners like myself. None of them will fly down and come on the podcast, but they are trying to discredit that field. And, there's kind of a little war going back and forth. It's funny how none of them ever take up invites to come debate their thoughts. That's kind of
Most people are like that regardless of the topic, to
you're
be
right.
realistic. Like, come
You're
on.
right.
It doesn't matter what you're talking to somebody about. The loudest one yelling bullshit
Yeah.
is going to be the same one that won't talk about it.
And that's what I said.
Uh,
I'm a doctor, so I know. And it's like,
yep. And then that's the end of it.
it's not how this works. Like, that's not how any of this works. I don't
and
care that you're a doctor.
I do think that it's a similar issue in the psychology fields and things like that, is that there is no continuation of education.
Yeah.
They, like you said, they go through the programs and that's it. So as far as, medicine transitioning over to coaching, how do you see the coaching landscape in the future, especially along with AI, online education, and the way content is changing everything?
It's interesting. We're at a crossroads right now. I can feel it. I think everybody can feel it. We are in a very tense. I feel a lot of tension. A lot of people like myself will stop fighting the good fight, and a lot of people on the other side will also stop fighting their fight. The long game is always going to win, and there's going to be two groups of people. The reality is, I said this in ECA the other day. There's going to be two groups of online coaches. You're an ECA or you're not an ECA, and we know who's going to win. But there's going to be two groups of people amongst the American population as well. And we're kind of there now. There's one group that got all the vaccinations and all the boosters and everything, and they stand by that. There's another group that they realized what went down was unjust, and one of the greatest. Um, I mean, not really even close. Not one of. It was the greatest mass immunization and murder that has ever existed in the world. And
Well,
um,
now from what I'm seeing is a lot of coroners are coming out and saying that the like majority of stuff that they were seeing in the bodies of people were directly from COVID.
yeah, yeah, that's
Like
been
that
coming
is that
out
is what
recently. Like from the jabs, and that's sad. So you're kind of moving into two groups of people, and the one group, they're going to be the docile, low T, men and women who lose all curiosity, which curiosity is there's a strong metabolic tie-in to curiosity. Um, so we know they're low metabolism as well, but they're going to lose all of their curiosity. I mean, they've already kind of lost it. They lost all of their ability to think. They just get told what to do. And then there's another group. There's kind of a social civil war at the moment. And but you know what? Like, it's being fought with health. And like, I don't think the Maha movement's done a very good job at all. But what it has done is we're talking about it. We're talking about it, and you got to pick a side. And
and
it's not.
that's what it takes. That's what
It
it comes
shouldn't be
down to,
political.
realistically.
Health should not be political. The truth should not be political.
So
It,
what do you think? I mean, because let's be honest, it is because there's a divide in health in our circles in our preventative medicine field.
yeah,
there's a very clear dominance politically, from what I've seen, as far
Yeah,
as people who
I
are
mean,
into it to a certain level.
uh, the issue is, um, you know, here's my political opinion. The current president ran on something that got him elected, and it's not being backed up. The other side wants to continue, doing things as is. Um, Ever since Trump's been elected, I mean, did removing red dye 40 from Skittles, is that what we're talking about? Is that really what, like, you think that's going to move like beef tallow? Are these starts? Sure. But like, how long has it taken for this to go down? How long is it going to take for this red dye? These are what we're focusing
But is
on.
it starts or is it distractions? Is it okay,
Likely distractions. I mean,
you're asking for a steak and I'm saying here's your appetizer, here's a couple crumbs of
yeah,
bread.
it's,
And
I
we're
mean,
still
isn't that
not
what they
giving you
do?
what
They're
you're
all
asking
masters
for.
of deception. Like, they're all the same.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
That's
they
all it
are.
is.
So, at what point does it shift? I think it's good that we're having conversations. I think we have a bunch of complete idiots that are talking about health. I think the last people were idiots. I think the next people will be idiots. I think that, uh, they'll all
Can't get
probably
rid
be
of
somewhat idiotic. Uh,
them.
but at some point, people just have to accept I have free will to make my own decisions, to do real research, to open a biology book, to open up an epidemiology book, to open up a physiology book, and figure out what do I actually believe, not what I was told to believe through the education system that is fully governed by lobbyists and our government, and which clearly, you know, we got told that, well, this person can't be bought or this person can't be bought, and then all of a sudden, the
They got
vaccine
bought.
schedule increases in children, and nothing has actually changed, and we haven't talked about exercise, and like how is there not some sort of government grant or help for gyms to continue spreading opening? And we never
Yeah,
talk about
when we
getting in
know,
this.
when it's proven that that is one of the healthiest things, the most important things you can do for your body is resistance training.
Yeah,
Like
I,
that's
I,
just
what's crazy? Uh, Probably the only way forward, and this won't happen in our lifetime. Maybe my son can do it whenever he comes into the world. You kind of need a political party that's fully focused on health. You kind of do, like real
you gonna
health.
run, Justin? Is this your unofficial
I mean,
announcement here for
I would
president?
run for mayor of Austin, but I don't really want to be much more than that. I'll probably be mayor of Austin at
See,
some
well
point.
that's where you start. You also started as an
That
in-person
is true.
trainer, and look at you
That
now.
is true.
So,
And all of a sudden I'm running for president. Oh my God, my hairline's going to be terrible by then. I'll be so stressed
hey,
out.
that's
Look at that. See, look at it. It's because we're
sometimes it's just
fighting the
gotta
fight.
go. But you know what? It became an issue, so I removed the issue.
So
You
you
know what I'm
just
saying?
can't get rid of the issue. That's called problem solving.
That's what I'm saying. I grew a beard, I got tattoos, and I'm
See,
jacked. I'm
there
good.
you go. And it overcompensates. And I'm down with that. I subscribe to this.
But all right, Justin, I've kept you for a while, so I'm just gonna want to wrap this up with what do you feel like as a man you represent?
I hope I represent what the fuck around and find out pertains to as it comes to staying on your word, following through with the promises you make to yourself, showing up every day to provide for the people who love and trust you. Uh, a high T society.
The nuclear family.
You know, I definitely don't want everyone to operate the way I operate. It's also, it's quite stressful. There's stresses that are good, there's stresses that are bad, but I hope uh, I'm a man that just never fucking gave up and I'm living with conviction. And I have a lot of conviction, yet I'm open minded enough to change my thoughts as I've done many times. Uh,
I love that.
that's what I want
Yeah,
to
I
embody.
think that's the most important, and I hear it all the time, even in listening to the Grow or Die or now Elite Coaching Academy uh, podcast. Is that I'll listen to things and I'm like, I know for a fact that Justin's opinion on this is different now.
It is, isn't
And
it?
it is funny because you do still speak with such authority, and
Yeah.
then at the same time you will say, even back then, even 5 years ago, it was the same thing. It was, if you give me something to change my position, I will change my position.
Yeah.
If you just give me emotion,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change my position.
It's affirming my beliefs.
Yeah. So I love that, man. This has been great. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
so much
on.
for having me on.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and I know most people are gonna know where to find you, if they know where to find me. But in case somebody stumbles across this, where
Yeah.
can they find you?
Yeah. On Instagram, Mihaly underscore, YouTube, Elite Coaching Cast. And if you're not in the Elite Coaching Academy, I quite literally do not know what you're doing, but I do know that you're not serious about changing lives and impacting your financial situation and your family's future. So you might as well hop in now.
Yeah, and we've got some stuff early in the works between you and I that we're talking
Let's
about. I
go.
won't give too deep into that, but there's some exciting stuff for my future coaches as well. So,
Very fired
brother,
up.
I do not say this lightly. You are doing phenomenal work. Not only in the industry but just in general as a person. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people that even reach to achieve the things that we are, on the path to achieve. Not many men are going to ever even try. So
I
this
agree.
is a real call for people to, step it the fuck up. I think we're lacking as a society, and I do think more people need to get moving. And I hear a lot of people say that I just want to help people. This is what it looks like. This is sacrificing your time, your investments. It's a financial sacrifice. It's a lifestyle sacrifice. But it does bring you mission, truth, purpose, a lot of things that I think people are missing out on. So make sure you follow this man, support him and what he's doing, spread the word. I will have everything linked. So you won't have any issues finding either one of us. As always, you can find me on YouTube at SPG Unfiltered, same on Spotify. And Instagram is now just my name. I made it a little more simple. So it's just Steven, period, Gerraughty. Until next time, reclaim your life, master your mind, and build your body.